Hello everyone. What are the causes of the peptic ulcer and how does peptic ulcer occur? Today we will talk about etiology and pathogenesis of peptic ulcer. The gastroduodenal mucosa integrity is determined by protective and aggressive factors. Aggressive factors include HP, NSAID, gastric acid, and pepsin. Defensive factors include gastric mucus production, bicarbonate, prostaglandins, and blood flow to mucosa. When protective factors decreased and aggressive factors increased, peptic ulcer occurs. The gastric and duodenal mucosa possess a variety of mechanisms which serve to protect these layers from the erosive actions of stomach acid and pepsin. These include the presence of a protective superepithelial mucus layer as well as a tight epithelial barrier. The first-line defense against intraluminal contents is provided by the mucus bicarbonate barrier, which consists of a thick layer of adherent mucus gel into which is secreted bicarbonate by epithelial cells. It stabilizes the pH between the lumen and the surface epithelial cells. Mucus gel in patients with HP infection was found to be structurally weak. The second line of defense is the intrinsic epithelial cell defense. The mucosal surface is a barrier to acid-back diffusion that's maintaining normal incellular pH. The third line of defense is the rich mucosal blood flow. The blood provides a buffer for acid neutralization as well as enough nutrition for the metabolic demand to maintain mucosal integrity. The last protective factor is prostaglandin. It can reduce gastric acid secretion, regulate the gastric secretion with feedback, and enhance mucosa resistance to injury. Dysfunction or overwhelming of these mechanisms is the root cause of PUD and is associated with a number of different etiologies as described below. The most common cause is Helicobacter pylori. It is a bacterium that lives in the stomach of infected people. The incidence of HP infection is about 90% to 100% in duodenal ulcer, 8% to 90% in gastric ulcer. HP is a gram-negative bacteria and colonizes in gastric mucosa. HP utilizes its urinase activity to neutralize the hostile acidity condition at the beginning of infection. Flagella-mediated mortality is then required for HP to move toward host gastric epithelial cells, which does lead to successful colonization and persistent infection. HP releases several effector proteins or toxins, including CAG-A and VAG-A, causing host tissue damage. Somatostatin production from D cells decreased and inhibited gastrin from G cells releasing. Acid production by parietal cells lead to further peptic ulcer. Another major cause of peptic ulcer disease is the use of NSAID, a group of medication used to relieve pain. Symptomatic peptic ulcer occurs in 2% to 4% of patients treated with NSAID for 1 year. Users of NSAID are at 3 times greater relative risk than non-users. Not everyone who takes NSAID will develop ulcers. NSAID use coupled with an HP infection is a potential the most dangerous. Gastrointestinal toxicity with NSAID disrupts the mucosal barrier. NSAID is a COX-1 inhibitor, which leads to a reduction of prostaglandin secretion and epithelial blood flow, decreases the protective factors. This therefore increases the susceptibility to mucosa injury. The drugs also generated oxygen-free ratios and products of the lipoxygenase pathway that may contribute to ulceration. The eventual formation of peptic ulcer is due to acid and pepsin digestion of the mucosa itself. Pepsin can decompose protein molecular, so HP can invade mucus. The biology activity of pepsin is dependent on the pH value. When local pH value evaluates to 4, pepsin cannot work well. So we often say that no acid, no ulcer. That's all for this part. See you.